Hello everybody, I am Lenny Machinsky. I'm the director of Apple Hill. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's concert that features violinist Salley Koo and pianist Alex Solomon. I'm really delighted they're here to perform for us tonight. Our concert tonight is underwritten by the Putnam Foundation. The Putnam Foundation has been a wonderful support and a wonderful help to Apple Hill over the years. So I'd like to thank them for all that help, and thank you so much, Putnam Foundation, for underwriting tonight's concert. Really appreciate it so much. You know, we just finished our first virtual summer workshop week last week. We have 2 more weeks to go. We have one in July, one in August. You know, we had thousands of people joining us, so check out our website for all the details of what's coming up next. I'm personally happy we're doing all these virtual summer things because it keeps our Apple Hill community whole, which is really important right now. It gets us to stay in touch with each other because we love each other, we miss each other, so I'm really glad we're doing this. And I found this quote from Cello Bello, which is a website that's started by cellist Paul Katz. Now, Paul Katz is an amazing musician. He was the cellist of the Cleveland Quartet. I studied with the Cleveland Quartet, so I was really thrilled to find this quote, and I wanted to read it to you right now. Music comes in infinite forms through all civilizations and cultures, reflecting the rich diversity of humankind. It is a universal language. Let it continue to be a platform for dialogue, and let us musicians continue to serve as agents for positive change in the world. That's a great quote, so thank you, Paul, so much for letting us read it tonight. Now I'd like to present Salley and Alex to perform for you. Thank you, everybody.
Welcome to this Apple Hill concert. I'm Salley Koo. I'm a violinist who's been going to Apple Hill. I looked it up today in my emails since 2003. I can hardly believe it. And this is my partner, Alex Solomon, playing piano. We're so glad to be able to prepare this program for you and perform it and share some music with all of you in this super weird time. We are going to be starting with New Hampshire favorite Amy Beach with her Romance. As you may know, Amy Beach was a frequent guest at MacDowell. She befriended many women composers there, and I thought that was cool because later in the program we have a series of pieces that were started at MacDowell by another friend of mine. This Romance was premiered in 1893 and it was published the same year. It was dedicated to the violinist Maud Powell. Amy Beach and Maud Powell were very good friends, and they actually played the premiere together. It was so well received that they had to play an encore, and Maud's music dramatically fell to the floor, and she just kept going. I really love this piece. I played it for the first time. It's kind of a funny Apple Hill story. I met a young Egyptian couple coming to the US for school via Apple Hill and worked with a great horn player by the name of Amr Salim. His wife, Saba Ali, was also there. She's a pianist. And then the way Apple Hill is and the world is, I kept running into both of them at school, at festivals, and I finally played this Romance with Saba in her series in Beirut that she started. It's obviously a wonderful piece for two friends, but because it's a romance, I have always attributed it to this time that I had spending with Saba and Amr in Beirut. And if you ever see them, you should ask them about their love story because it's very epic, and I always thought that this piece was well suited to their story.
We're next going to play the Debussy Sonata for violin and piano, which was actually the last major work that he ever completed in around 1914, soon before his death. It was to be part of a set of 6 sonatas for various assortments of instruments. His publisher had suggested that since he had not written any chamber music since the quartet, the string quartet, which was a great success, that he should do some more. And he had sketched out in the score for this sonata, the violin sonata, his plans for the last 3 sonatas, which included some very unusual arrangements, including harpsichord, bassoon, clarinet, horn, and trumpet in various iterations. And the last sonata was to use all the instruments used in all of the sonatas, all 6 sonatas, together with a double bass. So with that, we'll play the sonata for you.
Hello everyone, I'm Rupert Thompson, cellist with the Apple Hill String Quartet, and I will be your summer virtual director for the month of July. So, starting on Monday, July 6th at noon Eastern Standard Time, there will be a lecture by Chris Jenkins. Chris is the Associate Dean for Academic Support and Liaison to the Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion at Oberlin College. Chris is also one of our distinguished faculty members on viola at Apple Hill. Chris will be lecturing on music and friendship and how music enhances empathy and connection. Then on Tuesday, July 7th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be performing J.S. Bach's Sixth Suite in D major for unaccompanied cello. I better go and practice, so I'll keep moving along. Then on Wednesday, July 8th at 3 p.m., Lenny will be doing a reading and listening club involving Sandy Tolman's Children of the Stone, which you can get online at toadbooks.com or at your favorite bookstore, as well as speaking on Beethoven's Opus 135 Quartet. Then on Thursday, July 9th at 5 p.m., I will present a cello masterclass involving 3 wonderful cellists from the Apple Hill community. Then on Friday, July 10th at noon, I will be interviewing Apple Hill clarinet faculty member Eric Thomas. Eric and I go way back to the late 90s when I first came to Apple Hill, and we'll be talking about our lives as chamber musicians and as African-American chamber musicians, the whole gamut. We'll just be talking like we always do when we have a break from faculty rehearsals. Anyway, and then on Saturday, July 11th at noon, we'll shut the session down like we always do with the wonderful Apple Hill participant sharing concert. So we hope to see you there, and until then, all the best. Bye-bye.
So one thing before we start the second half. When I was talking to Salley about the logistics of recording this concert, I said one of the advantages of the virtual thing is that if it's a piece of contemporary music, we can actually interview the composer. And I said you could even do it outside, thinking that if they were both in New York, they could be 6 feet apart. It'd be like an interview, very cool. So when I got the material from Salley, I realized that she had interpreted that, taken it to heart, and had recorded the entire next piece outside, which must have been painful, you can see, but her logistical pain is our aesthetic gain, because I think it's delightful. You'll see, very New York, made me miss the place. So without further ado, enjoy the second half.
Welcome back to the beginning of our second half. We are so lucky to have a few words from Caroline Mallonee, my friend and the composer of the next set of pieces.
Hi, my name's Caroline Mallonee, and I'm the composer of the next set of pieces you're going to hear on today's concert. Salley Koo is going to play 3 pieces from my collection of string tunes. They're called string tunes because they're quite tuneful, which can be nice. And in this case, she's going to retune her instrument to A-D-A-D. This scordatura tuning allows for different finger patterns on different strings to have different transpositions than they would on a normally tuned instrument. It's really visceral music, and I think you'll be able to hear that. 2 of the pieces that you'll hear I wrote at the MacDowell Colony, which of course is just down the road in Peterborough, New Hampshire. I've been to concerts at Apple Hill. I spend most summers in New Hampshire in Dublin teaching at the Walden School, which is a summer festival for young composers. I'm really pleased that Salley is going to play these pieces for you today, even though we can't all be making music together in New Hampshire. I'm grateful to her. We've known each other since college, and I hope you enjoy this music.
So this Bartok Rhapsody, I first played it many, many years ago and strangely have not revisited it until now. I feel like both Rhapsodies are not played enough for my taste. They're great pieces. This Rhapsody is in a two-movement format that was very common for a lot of Bartok's works and for a lot of Czardas type dance music, where we have the lasso, which is the slower movement, and then the frise, or frise, I'm not sure how to say it, which literally means fresh, but it's the fast movement. One thing I didn't realize, the first movement, the lasso slower movement, is in 3 sections, and the middle section is actually a Transylvanian folk song called As Arvat Falvi Casergo, or Lament of Arvat Falva. You know, we know so much about how Bartok was so interested in folk music and made these incredible field recordings, but I was so amazed to find that this particular folk song was recorded by someone named Bela Vikar, and in 1900 he presented at this folklore congress in Paris over 500 cylinders of recorded Hungarian folk songs. He started recording these songs in 1895, so way before Bartok started doing this. And you know, it's kind of a shame there's not that much written about him. I found, you know, a few short articles with just mentions of his name. And then to my delight, I was able to find from the website and archives of the Hungarian Academy of Sciences Institute for Musicology, there is this recording that Vic Vikar made of this song that you'll hear in the middle part of the first movement, and then the manuscript of Bartok's transcription.
Egyedülig Balogh János és 2 társa medeszére.
One thing that Alex and I have just discovered in working on this, so he practices in his part up here in the living room, and I practice in the bedroom when we're practicing separately. And I came in and said, you know, Sherlock, which is our younger dog, never does this, but just in the Bartok, he starts howling. And Alex said, oh, he does that with me also, only in the Bartok. And I was able to catch this little clip. I think it shows that Bartok stirs emotions no matter who you are. going to play for you a Heifetz transcription of It Ain't Necessarily So from Porgy and Bess. It's fun, it's a great way to end the night, and we thank you so much for tuning in, joining us in the Apple Hill community, and we hope to share with you in person soon.
Tune in next week for Solo Bach with Apple Hill String Quartet cellist Rupert Thompson, and an entire week of exciting virtual activities online. See you there!